pretty Christian.
I tried to come up with something that talks about being dumped by somebody who has gone to their faith instead. And I wrote this piece and I read it to my husband and he said, this makes me think of something at my work, at another department or something. They had to fire 3 people because they were having other people do work and changing forms and things that are like almost felony charges for the work that they're doing. So they're like, we have to fire you. And a third of the people, half the people, were devout Bible-holding Christians, and they left with their Bible in their hands. And he couldn't understand how these people, these devout Christian people, would do this to begin with, but they were leaving, and one of them was repeating over and over again, God will get me through this. God will get me through this. And he was just thinking, this is the connect. I mean, you go to your religion now after you do, and this is what he thought of when I wrote this, which had nothing to do with the work situation at all. But this is called Faith Comes Only. You made your choice, and I went home all by myself, and you went home with your faith. I hope your faith keeps you warm at night. I realize something. Your faith comes only when you have nothing concrete to hold on to, nothing to rely on, nothing concrete. Apparently, you only have faith when you have nothing else. I can do announcements about book stuff because it mentions Bob. I might as well start with that one. Bob had a piece of prose published in CC&D magazine in the August issue, and this book that I'm holding right here, Laying the Groundwork, is a collection of August through mid-August issues, or April through mid-August issues, and it has a bunch of stuff in it, including supplement issues like, because this is legal, I've got NASA Hubble telescope images, the coolest effing thing, because you can get this in color or in black and white, ordering them online. So you can always come to scars.tv to find out any more information, especially with book publications for his. I've got lots of books of my own. I was talking about the accident. I just released a book of poems right after the accident called Recovery. That cover even has a picture of me right after the accident and then immediately after the accident in a hospital bed. That's lovely. 2 other collection books of my own. And if anybody knows the poet C. Ra McGort, based in Nashville area, he had a ton of stuff published in Scars Publications and CC&D, and is working on a book called No Poem, because he did a series for 4 poems called No Poem, and they're a bunch of poems that are previously printed in CC&D magazine. We actually have, this is before a final printing because it hasn't even gone to press yet, color versions. The poems aren't in color, but there are covers of the issues that he was printed in, and they actually, you can't tell in the black light, but they actually have color images of the colors in it. And because I've got a few copies of those, if anybody wanted a color copy, you can get it for the black and white price, which is something like $15 or something. You can always bug me about that as well. I can't think of much else.
How much is Laying the Groundwork? How much is that?
Laying the Groundwork is available in many different formats. This is a digest size, 5.5 by 8.5 format. It comes in the size that has all of the supplement issues, things like the NASA things and the chapbooks, like the chapbooks that I've got, or you can get a version that has just the images, just the issues, and not those supplement ones. The one that's smaller, that doesn't have the supplements is $15.95. This one's like $17.95.
Oh.
You can also get it in a 6x9 format if you want it just to be a little bigger. And the 6x9 format also comes in a color version, but it's really expensive. But it's there, over $100.
Oh,
500 pages, all color pages. It
Well, you
becomes
know,
very
I'm
expensive.
sorry,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're talking about.
It's an
national
expensive
photographs.
guy.
We're
And
talking about national secrets.
and I
Yeah,
used,
the more I look
and
out,
that's why I opted to not have hardcovers available of this one, just because it's really expensive. Although I could design black and white versions in a hardcover as well. But if you go to scars.tv and laying the groundwork, or find out about, look up Bob Reshko in the writing section, you at least see the issue that he was in. So yes, that is there as well. So all the many books. I haven't even mentioned all the books here, but there you go. Oh, I only talked about half of the books that I happen to bring with me. I just think this is so cool. But I'll release books that are my work that have appeared in issues. Dark Matter, The Mind of Janet Kuypers. I went out for like a year photographing rocks and things so I can get the right texture to be able to come up with these things. Another one, the title was John's husband's suggestion, Evolution. It's actually a cover of rocks and something in front of a restaurant called Wagas in Shanghai in China, but it's got a lot of chapbook selections, like half the ones that you've got. Some were too long for me to print for you because it's a big book, but I've got these guys. The big thing that I wanted to mention before reading a poem is when I did the book of poems for C. Ra McWhort with all of these covers of CC&D in it, I was like, what the hell? I should be doing something like that of my own stuff, because at the beginning of CC&D, nobody knew of me. So I had a lot of my stuff in there. I'm like, I should do something like that. Well, I came to volume, I think, 57 or 59, and it had all clip art cover. It said, Janet, did you hear? John, you don't mean... Finally, literature for the snotty and elite. And I thought that was the funniest thing. And I'm like, I'm going to have to do a collection book like this and have covers appearing throughout like I did with Sierra. But then I said, wait, I've got too much stuff. So I worked on a second volume, picking another cover, A Wake-Up Call from Tradition. So I've got these books out. And I have to mention these because in the January issue, January 2010 of CC&D, where it's actually going to be printed perfect bound as 84-page books, perfect bound books instead of stale stitch magazines.